And I hope you're really enjoying it. Some really valuable information that we're learning. So let's all pay close attention tonight for another good night. Just to remind you, it's starting at 7 every night. And Mondays and Thursdays, we're having health consultations instead of presentations. If you'd like to speak with Brother Lou privately, you may. Make an appointment. You can speak to myself or Sister Pauline, or sign up in the foyer, and we'll contact you, or you can do it online. We are closing the window for scheduling consultations tomorrow, so you have until tomorrow. And also, there's other things you can note on that sheet. So if you'd like to come to the cooking class that we have on September 15th, which is this Sunday coming up, please indicate it there just so we can prepare ahead of time, the food and all that. And we hope you'll join us. So you may have heard us say already, but we're doing a walk and exercise that's going to start at 8 a.m. So if you can arrive a little earlier, maybe 10 to 8, if you can be here at the church. And then we will start the cooking class at 8:45. You can come to both or one or the other. Just be mindful of the times. And obviously, if you're coming to walk and exercise, just make sure you wear shoes for it and the right clothes. And we're going to have an interactive class with brunch food. So we're making waffles together. You're going to learn how to do granola, homemade soy milk, jam, pineapple cream, and we're going to try some interesting new things like ackee eggs, and there'll also be a tofu scramble. And lastly, I would just like to say if you can remember to silence your phones if you haven't done that. And we're changing things a little bit again tonight. We're just trying to figure out what works best. So if you have a question this evening for Brother Lou to answer at the end of the presentation, you will see the index cards in the booth. So please write it on there, and then you can put it in there'll be 2 baskets passed during offering. One will be for money, the other will be for the index cards. So just put it separately so that we can get it to him quickly. And so thank you.
Shall we all stand as we sing our theme song? Would you be free from the burden of sin? There's power in the blood, power in the blood. Would your evil a victory win? There's wonderful power in the blood. There is power, power, wonder-working power in the blood of the Lamb. There is power, power, wonder-working power in the precious blood of the Lamb. Would you be free from your passion and pride? There's power in the blood, power in the blood. Would the Calvary's died? There's wonderful power in the blood. There is power, power, wonder-working power in the blood of the Lamb. There is power, power, wonder-working power in the precious blood of the Lamb. Would you do service for Jesus your King? There's power in the blood, power in the blood. Would you live daily His praises to sing? There's wonderful power in the blood. There is power, power, wonder-working power in the blood of the Lamb. There is power, power, wonder-working power in the precious blood of the Lamb.
Our Father in heaven, we send up our distress call to heaven Pray you respond. You'll come down. Give us grace tonight and a blessing. I ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Good evening, everyone. 2 questions. The questions tonight are, as usual, from the previous evening's presentation. So last time, which was Sunday, the topic was diabetes. So the first question is easy, I think. Question number 1, what type of diabetes is the most common in North America? Please raise your hands. First hand that I saw. Nope. Type 2, yes. Very good. You were close. You were off by 1. Okay, question number 2 is intended to both quiz you and also provide some additional health information for you. So the first part of the question is for information. There are 4 antibody markers in the blood that doctors use to test between type 1 versus type 2 diabetes. Those antibody markers are as follows: islet cell antibodies, glutamic acid decarboxylase, insulin autoantibodies, and the last one is called protein tyrosine phosphatase. Here's the question. What is the name of the blood test that measures the amount of blood glucose in your blood as it attaches to hemoglobin for the past 3 months? What is the name of that test? You can't answer twice, Brother Gaspard. Yes, A1C. All right, thank you so much, everyone.
So I'm supposed to start, I think, right? That's good. So before I start, how many is that? How many is that? No. How many is that? 2. Now, how many is that? 4. I was at a meeting one time and I said anybody would say that plus that is that. Right? And someone said, well, not necessarily. If 2 plus 2 is not 4, then what is it? I want to be simple tonight, but I need your cooperation. Subject tonight is numbers don't lie. Do they? 2 plus 2 is, come on, help me. 4, thank you. If it's not 4, then what is it? So, Toronto Stock Exchange, it revolves around numbers. Now, this was front page in the Wall Street Journal when the great crash of the Dow Jones average, it reflected the reality, but the numbers verified the event because numbers don't lie. They don't lie. You'd agree, right? Numbers don't lie, right? There's a mathematical science in math, and it appeals to anybody. What's that got to do with what we're studying tonight? You'll see in a moment. Metabolic syndrome, that's our subject. It's not a disease, it's a collection of symptoms. So typically, doctors look at the numbers, as well they should, because numbers don't lie. And there's some of the numbers, here's some more. Increased waist, your BMI, your body mass index, your blood pressure, your blood sugar, your HDL, your LDL, your triglycerides, your cholesterol, all these different numbers. And when you look at the numbers, you get an accurate picture of your health. If your blood pressure, and again, the numbers, I'm sorry, my numbers and your numbers in Canada don't sync up. If you look at your blood pressure and it's sky high, you are not well no matter how you feel. Would you agree? If you've got tremendous pressure being exerted on your arteries, you're not well. Something, and that's what metabolic syndrome is. It looks at the numbers, and it's more than that though, because all the different things that it measures, by the way, a third of the folks in USA have it, and Canada is just like America. You got as much junk here as we have there. Wouldn't you agree? Okay. Yeah. So, and you're just as sick as the Americans. We are the richest country on planet Earth and the sickest, with the highest health care cost on planet Earth. That's America. And Canada's the same. What's the problem? Well, friends, the numbers don't lie. So they take the numbers. Let's say you have hypertension. And now let's say you have diabetes. Think before you answer. Now you have double trouble, true or false? I hope you're going to say false. Friends, you've got triple trouble. It's exponential. When you add one and you add another, it doesn't go up, it goes up exponentially. Is that clear? All right. Yeah. Because what I say is not clear, just wave your hand. I'll try again. So I'm not going to use these numbers on the bottom because, in a sense, you can't grasp it. We need to be simple. If you walk into a place, let's take, let me go off on a 30-second tangent. Let's take preaching, the Bible. If somebody comes in and talks about eschatology and chiastic structure and hermeneutics, you fly over the head of the people, you walk out, and they're just like they were when you walked in because they don't understand what you're saying. In the language of health, if I got up and talked about recessive and dominant genes, then you walk out and it didn't help anybody. We ought to be what? Starts with an S? Simple. So God help me to be simple tonight. I'll pray. Lord, bless now as we start. Help me to be a simple person. In Jesus' name, amen. Let's be simple. So, hey, overweight. You want a simple test to know if you're overweight? Simple test? No, it's simpler than that. No, scale's good. I think I beat you, though. Everybody stand up. Stand up. Give you a simple test. Stand straight, good posture, be erect, stand straight. Now, look down. Do you see your toes? If you don't, you need to lose weight. All right, let's move on. Come on. Okay. Well, Now, excess body fat. Oh, this is the pear in the apple. Most people, now I've got to use a big fancy word, I'm sorry. Subcutaneous. This means under the skin. If you have excess body fat, especially the visceral kind, here's the difference between the pear and the apple. You've got visceral fat and subcutaneous fat. Notice, subcutaneous fat is under the skin, but it's on top of the muscle. But visceral fat, it's behind the muscle, and it surrounds the internal organs. So if you put on weight, it's better to put it on your hips than in your abdomen, because this is what it looks like when, So this is what they call the apple and the pear shape. Pear shape's better than the apple, because this is what you have. If your internal organs, and probably no one knows what kind of organ that is, but if you have fatty liver, fatty kidneys, fatty heart, if you have this environment of fat, does it do something to your internal organs? Now, you don't need to be a genius to say that can't be healthy, right? Can't be healthy. Can't be good for you. So now tomorrow we start nutrition. Tonight, metabolic syndrome. But tonight's an important subject. Now, I'm going to take cholesterol. In America, cholesterol is very common. Most people don't know what cholesterol is. They don't know what the number means. They know very little about it. And tonight, they know they may have high cholesterol. They know they may take statins. They may know they're going for open heart surgery. They may know they got some stents, but they don't understand cholesterol. Why? The why. You need to understand the whys and the wherefores. So 73.5 million adults in the U.S., that's about a third. Metabolic syndrome, about a third. Heart disease, about a third. No, more than a third. High cholesterol, about a third. So that's the American Heart Association. Know the risk. What's the risk of having high cholesterol? That's the question. Now, let's go very simple, right? I'm changing my name to Lou Simple. Cholesterol is a waxy substance throughout the body. It's not bad, it's essential. You make cell membranes, you do a lot of things with cholesterol. It's great stuff, unless you have too much. The body makes all that it needs. What causes high cholesterol? High cholesterol is caused by eating foods with cholesterol. Isn't that simple? Fatty foods, not exercising enough, being overweight. That sounds like what we've been talking about for the last 3 days, right? Same thing, a poor lifestyle, bad habits. You know, one of the first questions I ask, like in health counseling, what about coffee, tea, chocolate, or Coke? You know, just ask the questions. Do you smoke? Do you drink? And just the questions. Because often the good habits have been supplanted by bad habits, and you weed out the bad habits and come back with the good habits, and you get good health. 2 + 2 = 4. This happened to me in April 23, 1917. There is our chart, again, our numbers in America. Your cholesterol should be, now again, pretend like we're in America, okay? Should be about what? American Heart Association, you're in trouble unless your cholesterol is under what? 200. Nobody knows what LDL and HDL is, but we're going to define it very closely what high-density lipoprotein is in just a moment. You're a step ahead of me. That's okay. Don't be a step behind. So it was dental day. And what we did, we had an outreach program, had a dentist, and it was a lot of fun. A friend of mine named Frankie, was a nurse, and he was doing cholesterol checks, little meter. Take blood on your finger, put it on the strip, put it in, it shows your cholesterol. I was doing something else, health counseling, I don't know what I was doing. And Frankie said to me, I got a strip left, let's take yours. I said, forget it, I can stick my finger with that thing. And I know my cholesterol is good. He said, let's take your cholesterol. Kept bugging me. I said, okay. Now in my church, my wife is the health and temperance person. I talk a lot about health. People expected me to be. Well, don't you expect that? You know? And so they gathered around. These are my church members, my friends. They gathered around. Frankie poked my finger, and my dear friends, cholesterol was 225. And everybody looked at me. Looks can be deceiving, but the numbers don't lie. I said, okay, I'm going to war. The problem is I didn't eat any of that to start with. I was on a good lifestyle. I did not eat things like that. And I said 225. That's public humiliation, for one thing. That was embarrassing. 225, what? And Frankie just looked at me. Anyway, now, before we start, all nuts have fat. All foods, just about all foods have fat. You have 3 kinds of fats: monounsaturated, polyunsaturated, and saturated. This is not a class of nutrition, but I just want to say the one that's the best, if you're going to eat a source of fat, which kind is better, poly, mono, or saturated? All right, you said olive oil. Olive oil is high in which one, though? Mono. Poly's okay. Saturated is not the best. So every nut has some. There is their percentages of mono, poly, and saturated fat in nuts. The nut with the lowest saturated fat is what nut? Hazelnuts. And right behind it are what? Pecans, almonds, walnuts. But as you get down toward the bottom of the list, what's on the bottom? Cashews. I'm not saying cashews will kill you. I'm saying they have more saturated fat than almonds and pecans and walnuts. By the way, everything I've shown, you give me a thing and a stick and I'll give it all to you. And a dozen more besides, all free. But, yeah. And I got my charts out and started reading and praying and studying. I said, I'm in trouble. Because, friends, I was eating a whole lot of what? No, not cashews, but what? Peanut butter. Now, if you notice, the peanut butter is one of the highest in saturated fat. I'm not saying peanut butter is bad. I'm just saying it's got a good percentage of saturated fat. I told my wife, Darlene, I said, no more peanut butter. No more walnuts. No more any nut. I'm coming off that. And I did. And then I called up Frankie. I said, you bring that meter to church. This was after 2 or 3 weeks. I'm in business. Frankie brought it in. Everybody found out what was happening. They gathered around. I'm going to show you. He took my cholesterol, and that popped up. Now, you remember our catchphrase here, Proverbs 26:2, the curse does not come without a cause. There's got to be a reason. If you say there is no reason, then there is no cure, because you can't address the cause because there's not one. That's defeatist thinking. It's not biblical. There's no hope. There's no peace in that kind of thinking. And I thought, now, I'm going to pause on that and do some other things here for a minute. So there you go. It's called a lipid profile. When you go to the doctor, the cholesterol is part of the lipid profile. Now, this may sound complicated. It's not. You go to the doctor, you have the lipid profile. And when you look at that, it tells you, now we're getting that, HDL, LDL, it tells you your triglycerides, and it gives you the ratio. Now, don't worry. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you will in a minute. HDL plus LDL, and it gives you your triglycerides. Now, cholesterol is your HDL plus your LDL plus a fifth of your triglycerides. That's the number. So if my cholesterol was 230, question is, what do those numbers mean? What is my HDL, LDL, and triglycerides? Because you got to know where it's coming from. Yeah, because to attack the problem, you need to understand the lipid panel, not just the number. So, I put it in there. HDL, LDL, fifth of your triglycerides. Pretty simple, right? That's your cholesterol, your total cholesterol. Now, on the numbers, and you don't have to look at the U.S. numbers, but you can see you want everything low. The lower the better, except what? HDL. HDL, the higher the better. HDL, as high as you can get it. Everything else, as low as you can get it. That's what you want for your cholesterol. Right? Now, which one do you want low? LDL? Triglycerides? You want everything. Because notice on the scale, the left side is the best, right? Except for HDL, which the right side is the best. Very simple. And this may be the simplest thing we'll ever study. Now, the LDL and HDL, I'm going to simplify the terms. If you want to talk about complexity, you see me outside of the meeting. The HDL, high-density lipoprotein. What this, I don't want to personify it, it transports, if your cholesterol is high, you have extra cholesterol, it transports it back to the liver. That's where it's made in the first place. And it metabolizes it, and either it dissipates it or uses it again. Anyway, you don't have it anymore. The LDL has a tendency to part the cholesterol in the walls of the artery. And you notice in the picture here, the LDL in yellow, see it building up on the artery walls, the HDL in blue, taking it right back to the liver. That's why you want high HDL and low LDL. LDL tends to give you hardening of the arteries if you have excess LDL. You need some. You need some HDL, you need LDL, you need triglycerides. But if you have extra, that's the problem. Okay, pretty simple. LDL associated with plaque buildup. HDL associated with clean arteries. Real simple. And it's another picture, the LDL on the bottom. And if you look on Google Images, you see thousands of these kind of pictures. The LDL collecting in the arteries of the wall of the arteries, the HDL free flowing, taking the cholesterol back to the liver. Pretty simple. Now, triglycerides. Triglyceride, fancy name for blood fats. It's fats in your blood. That's what triglycerides are. They are the chemical form in which most fat exists in the body, the food in the body. Along with cholesterol, triglycerides form plasma lipids. That's blood fat. Excess triglycerides in plasma have been linked to the occurrence of coronary artery disease. Now, here's a graph from, so this in America, we say under 150 is normal. Here the numbers are different, but you want to be under a certain number. The largest heart study ever done in outside of Boston, Framingham, and what they saw, a cohort study covering many generations. If you had higher triglyceride, your chances of getting a heart attack increased. It's no surprise, right? Yeah. These people's triglycerides, 500, and their risk of coronary event increased. Now, let's do the math. I color-coded it. Your LDL is 100. Your HDL is 60 in blue, right? Triglycerides, 150. So your LDL plus your HDL plus a fifth of 150, what's the, this should have been one of the questions for the book. What's your total cholesterol? Add it up. What's 1/5 of 150? $190? I'm not arguing with you. Mm-hmm. You're right. It's 190 because 30 is a fifth of 150. It's 190. Is that a good cholesterol? Well, it's 190. What's your cholesterol, by the way? Okay, you know this one, but you don't know yours. So yeah, this is 190. 190, it needs to be 150 or under. If you want to be bulletproof for a heart attack, under 150. Now, 100 plus 60, and I did the math with my brother, he figured it out. There it is. If you can't get it, 190. No, that's it. Pretty simple. This is so simple. Now you notice I put the arrow, that's cholesterol, that's LDL, that's HDL, that's triglycerides, but now the arrow points to what? HDL ratio. Because the ratio looks at the figures and sorts all that out. Because if your HDL is very high, which is good, it'll make your number go up. We say higher cholesterol, that's not good. Well, if it's because your HDL is elevated, that's good. But the ratio sorts out the numbers. And this is what I mean by ratios. If the way you get ratio, you divide your HDL into the total cholesterol. Now, another math problem. Your total cholesterol is 300. Your HDL is 50. What's your ratio? 6. Yeah, 6. Pretty simple. Your cholesterol is 200. You divide it by your HDL, which is 50. Your ratio is what? 4. That's no good. Now, to be safe, it needs to be under what? 3.5. And see the difference? If your total cholesterol is 180, your HDL is 60, now your ratio is 3. But if your HDL is 50, it just pushed you over the limit. HDL is important. So the ratio tells the tale. It should be under 3.5 using the American system. It's not my intention to talk about numbers, but you have to understand the numbers to understand what we're going to study tonight. And you do, right? HDL, LDL, triglycerides, ratios, how it's figured out. You got it, right? Simple. It's so simple. Now, step 1. That's behind us now. So I've got a cholesterol of 350. I'm a walking time bomb. Give me some help. Step one is to what? Huh? Exercise? It's not a bad step. If you only exercise, is that going to do the job? No. What else should I be thinking about? Yeah. Well, what about this? The first step. This is coming off the National Institute for Health, I think. The first step in lowering your risk of heart disease and stroke is to understand which fats raise LDL cholesterol and which ones don't. Okay, then you can recognize the enemy when he comes into the camp. Your body naturally produces, all the LDL, the body makes all you need. Pretty simple. Which foods raise it, which foods lower it. Cholesterol comes from eating foods taken from, such as meat and dairy products. Too much cholesterol in the blood may build up in blood vessel walls. The work of the LDL block blood flow to tissues and organs, the result of plaque buildup in the arteries, and increase the risk of developing heart disease, the number one killer in the U.S. and Canada. You're telling me I need to, well, I didn't say that. This is what the science says. You mean no meat, no fish, no dairy, no eggs equals no funeral. Right? Isn't that great? No funeral. You don't have to bury me after all. Cancel that life insurance policy. You're telling me I got to be one of those vegan people? No, I'm not telling you that. But I say no funeral. Something's got to change because all improvement requires change. Now that's first step. My dear friends, there's a whole lot of bad stuff other than animal products, and it's this thing called trans fats, also known as hydrogenated oils. Trans fats. Now, a lot of folks never heard of a trans fat, or if they heard of it, they think it's bad, but they don't know what it is. Trans fats raise your bad, and this is the same in National Institute for Health. They raise your LDL, cholesterol levels, and lower your good. It's the seesaw ratio. Anything that raises the good lowers the bad, i.e. exercise. Exercise does everything that's good. No bad side effects on the plan from heaven. It's only good. Eating trans fats increases your risk of developing heart disease and stroke. So I took a box of something. I won't tell you where I found it or what it is. Do you see that ingredient down there? Partially hydrogenated cottonseed oil. Is that trans fat? Yes. Anytime you see hydrogenated, partially hydrogenated, or trans fat, that's trans fat. And what exactly is a trans fat? Dear friends, I'm not going to read that. You can. But they bubble hydrogen through corn oil. Why? So the corn oil will stick to the chip in the bag. Corn oil is liquid at room temperature, right? It'd run off the chips. If you hydrogenate it, it now sticks to the chips. It doesn't go rancid. It has a certain taste, and it stays on the shelf for almost eternity. Yeah. Problem is it'll kill you. It'll kill you. Now, I didn't say that. Our government said that. As a detour, I go by Mayo Clinic. Trans fat is double trouble. That sounds like exponential language you use in metabolic syndrome. But our government has a list, and Canadians do too, generally recognized as safe. Grass. About the only thing not on that list is plutonium and asbestos. And trans fats. Even the government took it off the list. Trans fats are not safe, our government tells us. November 20th, New York City banned it, and probably in Canada you're banning it too. I don't know what you're doing up here in Canada. The Food and Drug Administration made a preliminary determination that partially hydrogenated oils are no longer safe in human foods. Okay. Now, Donna Jackson Nakazawa. I'm not quoting her as an expert. She wrote a book on autoimmune disease. I'm not recommending the book, not quoting her as an expert, but she says something about food that I'm going to quote. This is what she wrote about food. I'll read it. You can tell me if you agree or not. Centuries ago, salt, sugar, and vinegar were among the first food preservatives. Today, industrial food manufacturers have at their disposal an endless variety of chemical ways to preserve food. And one of those is trans fats. In an ironic sense, food processing might be defined thus, and this is why I quote from her. You take a food from nature, you remove everything natural from it, and then you add preservatives, dyes, bleaches, flavors, emulsifiers, and stabilizers to make it taste, look, feel, and smell like what it was originally supposed to be, but no longer is. The semblance is there, but little else remains. I don't know. What do you think? I don't know. So people say all the time, can I eat that? And what do you eat? I go somewhere, start talking about the benefits of a vegetarian diet, and they say, what do you eat all day? Bird food? What do you eat all day? What can I eat? What do you eat? And I've been watching my clock, I'd like to share with you a little bit about what I eat. There's my wife cooking up something good, right? This is one of the things I eat, that right there. Do you know what that is? Any guesses? Come on. Huh? Yeah, that's cashew cheese. What's she putting it on? Huh? Yes, she's making pizza. I said, well, I eat pizza. You got 14 ingredients on it. Eat a lot of pizza, a lot of burritos, a lot of burgers, a lot of. Yeah, I eat everything. Anything you've got, I've got. But it's, yeah. Yeah, that's cashew cheese. In this case, yeah. My wife makes it with cashews, and I don't. She makes the cheese. I don't know, but I eat the pizza, and that stuff is good. Why does she make two big ones like that? Because I eat so much. There are only two of us. She makes a pizza. It must weigh 15 pounds each. I say that'll last us about a half a day. Yeah, it's good stuff. Now, how about that? By the way, if you come Sunday, I'm making some strawberry jam. Ingredients, dates, strawberries. That's it. I want to bring healing, not killing. John 10, verse 10, the thief comes but to do what? So my wife and I were making a little Thanksgiving video. This was last year. And she brought up the subject of strawberries. Yeah, no, wait a minute. We've got to get some volume on this. Yeah, we're going to get some volume. You good?
And I just wanted to say I forgot strawberries.
Strawberries.
And we have enough left for maybe a few pies. So another blessing to add to the list.
Yeah, you know, if you want to know what our favorite foods are, and my wife may be a little different from me, strawberry pie is right at the top of the list.
Mine too.
And what we do is we have a champion juicer. It's a little machine. We freeze bananas. We run the bananas through the juicer, and it makes like a whipped ice cream, but it's just pure banana. And then Darlene makes this strawberry pie, and then we have the strawberry pie with ice cream on top. You can't beat that. And we eat a lot of beans. I know you didn't ask, but we'll tell you what we eat. A lot of greens, a lot of beans, a lot of strawberry pie, blueberry crisp.
Sweet potatoes. All the things that I listed.
And we're on a whole food plant-based diet. We don't use any refined sugars. We sweeten things with dates. And
stevia.
And stevia, which is an herbal agent. Stevia, dates. Sometimes we use very ripe bananas, sometimes a few raisins. We use whole foods to sweeten our food, and it's good high in fiber. I've got diabetes in my family tree. I want to try to avoid these genetic predispositions. And you can turn the tide by lifestyle choices. And so we eat a lot of whole grains, a lot of fresh fruits, a lot of vegetables, especially greens. And then we still have those little desserts, those healthy desserts, strawberry pie, blueberry crisp. We take waffles. This morning for breakfast, we had whole grain waffles, and on top of that, we had this banana millet dish. It's kind of like, it almost looks like a cheesecake, but it's like a millet cream pie.
Cream pie.
Put it on top of the waffles. Now, I tell you, friends, that was some very, very good eating. And it puts a smile on the husband's face when he sees food like that on the table. I mean, I get up in the morning, and my wife says, "What would you like to eat today? I want to please you." Heavy words, right? And I said, "Well, honey, whatever you make will be great." She said, "This morning we're going to make some whole grain waffles and probably some millet pudding on there." It's just millet, it's just. And that makes the fellowship sweet at the table. We're eating for strength and not for, I'll change that to death. All right? Yeah, and it's good, right? So that's the question. What do you eat anyway? You eating bird food? I remember once when my sister, I became a vegetarian. And I'm tall, right? I'm tall. I said my mom's huge. My sister was as big as my mom. She grabbed me one day, dragged me back to the bedroom, threw me on the bed, and she said, I was working on the staff at Wildwood Hospital. It was, an Adventist health place. She said, "They have cut your protein and brainwashed you." She grabbed me up. She said, "Don't you have something to say for yourself?" Well, I said, "I love you, Judith." She started kind of shaking me. Her face turned red. She said, "It proves you're crazy. It proves you're crazy. If you weren't crazy, you'd say something back. You sit there like a dead dog. It proves you're crazy." My dear friends, when you get love for hate, you got to have a good belly, right? You got to have a good belly. Because the food shapes our mind. And out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. By the way, my sister didn't talk to me. Yeah, what kind of sealed the deal? Darlene made like a fake turkey. Thanksgiving in America, that's a turkey dish. You know that, right? Maybe you have that here. So Darlene took a fake turkey to my mother's house. Judith, my sister, came in, looked at the stuff, and she was getting the stuff on the plate. She came to that fake turkey. She looked at it. Something didn't look quite right about it. She had a couple of piece off. And she looked at me. Didn't talk to me for 16 years. I knew why. Now, it was evident. It was evident. Then after 16 years, she called me. She's walking into Walmart. I tell you, maybe I shared this Sabbath. Her crock came off. Neuropathy in the feet, numbness, pins and needles, loss of feeling. Her crock came off. She kept walking, didn't know she'd lost her shoe. She said, "I got diabetes, I got hypertension, I got this, I got that." She was addicted to drugs. She said, "I'm dying." I said, 16 years. I said, "Judith, you want me to pray for you?" Guess what she said? Yes. Yeah. My dear friends, when you're sick, everything changes. Everything. Let me give you an example of one thing that changes the way you pray. I was in a plane that almost crashed in Minneapolis, St. Paul. Do you think my prayer life changed? The pilot said, her name was Christina. Pastor Morris, I'll never forget her name. She said, "This is Christina, your pilot." "Mm-hmm. We have a little problem with the plane." What did she say? What? "We've got a mechanical malfunction." Now, everybody got quiet. Everybody. And she said, "Our flaps are non-functional." Now, if you're a pilot, you know what I'm saying. The flaps are that thing that roll down the back of the wings. It gives you a slower stall speed. It means you can go slower without falling out of the air. And it gives you a nice trajectory and a soft landing. And the pilot, 4 bars on his shoulder across the aisle, people said, "What are flaps?" And he told them. He said, what this means is when we land, we're going to go fast, flat, and hard. And then Christina came back and she said, don't you worry, we're going to have emergency vehicles on the ground waiting for us. Help me. What would you be praying for? Friends, he made all nations of one blood, 1726 facts. We'd all pray for the same thing. Let me test it. I prayed, first of all, Lord, if I don't make it, I don't think I'm ready. Help me right now. Help me. Help me to be ready. And number two, if I die, who do I pray for? Yeah, my family, my wife. Same thing you'd pray for, right? It's just, but before that, I was thinking about, we might just have a little program up here in New Orleans. All that went away. Nobody was counting their money or looking at their tenure tracks when they go teach at Harvard, so they're working on their PhD. Nobody thought about that. Nobody thought about the house they lived in or the car they drove or their money in the bank. Nobody. Everybody was thinking about their health. That's it. That's it. Because you don't appreciate it until you lose it. Prevention is better than cure. I remember there's one more. I was in New York City, and two ladies, wealthy ladies, driving a $200,000 car, said they wanted to talk to me. Would I go out and sit in the back seat? I sat in their back seat, and they told me all their health issues. These ladies were headed for death. And you know what I'd say? I'd say what you'd say. Well, ma'am, you might want to, and you might want to, and you can, you can da-da. Yeah. I already exercise. How many days? 4 days a week. I said, you got to have 6. I already eat good. I'm on a good diet. How many days? 5 days out of 7. I already know. This is full, all-out commitment. If you want to claim those promises that give us hope for a long, happy life. That's it. So when I saw 230 on my cholesterol, and all my laughing church members, 230? What are you eating at home, bonbons and gummy bears? I'm going to war. I'm going to find out what the problem is by God's grace. And something's going to change in my house. Anyway, you know what those are? Sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes. You like sweet potatoes? Okay, all right. No, who doesn't like sweet potatoes? How much fat in a sweet potato? None. How much cholesterol? None. I'm sick and dying. How many sweet potatoes can I eat? As many as you want. We grow them. Yeah, that's it. A medium-sized baked sweet potato. Irish potato is fine too. 100 calories, low calorie, carbohydrates, the balance, protein, it's all good. No fat or cholesterol. Rich in what? Phytochemicals, antioxidants, vitamins, all kind of stuff. Give you sharp eyes, right? You got the carotenoids, it's orange, high in vitamin A, which is beta carotene, which is synthesized into vitamin A so you can see straight. Yeah. That much. Look at this. Two-hander. Hold it over here. That's the big one. So what was that, 4-pounder?
I don't know.
Huh?
Not that much.
That much. So somebody will come over and see 500 pounds of potatoes in the pantry. What are you going to do with all those sweet potatoes? Thank you. Eat them. We put them up about October. They'll keep until April. My dear friends, what are you going to do after April? They're not here in April. They're gone. Eat sweet potatoes, a mountain of them. You finish my sentence. S-I-M-P-L-E. 2:30. I do not eat butter. Oh. Okay. I said, Darlene, something ain't right in home. I'm happy to report there's a happy ending to this. Darlene looked at me. She said, you eat a mountain of fat. She said, that granola you're eating every morning is full of coconut. The fat in coconut, 92%, is saturated. Now, I'm going to blow this up so you can see it. The top, the blue, is saturated fat. So on the top, of course, you got hazelnuts, you got the almonds, you got the walnuts, but down on the bottom, you got coconut oil, coconut milk, coconut cream. Coppola, that's a hydrogenated spread made from coconut oil. It's high in saturated fat. Darlene just said, I'm not saying anything. We used whole coconut. It was whole food plant-based. She said, you're eating a lot of fat. Cholesterol, fat, synonymous. And what did I tell her? I said, Darlene, come on. Yeah, take it out. Take the coconut out. Take the coconut out. Take the coconut out. Now, there's coconut on the oil comparison. 92% saturated fat. Now, it only has 52% fat in it, but of the 52%, 92% is saturated. The low ones, if you get on the bottom down here, the red is good, right? The yellow is good. You get, well, I cut the bottom off, but you can see it. So I was in the military, went to VA hospital. I'm not playing with Frank anymore. I said, would you do my lipid panel, please? I'll blow it up so you can see it. Can you see what my cholesterol was? 156. My ratio, can you see that? 3 points. 2-3 months later, went back to VA. I said, take my cholesterol. Can you see it? 133. That's it. Case closed. My cholesterol now is good by God's grace. The numbers, when you have 2 exponential increase in disease and death, you got to take any number and you got to go to war against it. You have to. I want to live long. More importantly, I want a clear mind. And if you have blockages in your coronary arteries, you got blockages everywhere. Pretty simple. That's my pantry. Sister Morris asked me about if we had like a root cellar or something, a cool place. I told her no. We've got a room that's got, probably 1,000 different cans of stuff because we preserve food. We grow tomatoes and we can them and we do different things. And that's my life. Now, let me go back in time just a few minutes. I'm 68. I'm told you have a time machine in this church. Is that true? You got a time machine in the basement? Is that true? No? Let's say you did. And you hop on the time machine and you go back to when I was 28. You're like you are now. I'm 28. You'll find me in Manuel's Tavern. And if you open up the door, what you'll see, I got a steak burger in one hand, big old greasy steak fries on the other, and 3 pitchers of beer on the table. And Darlene's with me. And so one of you Adventists say, hey, Lou, you having a good time in there? What would I say? Yep. Yeah. Having a high old time. Oh, Lou, yeah. Let me trade you a soy burger for that big old steak burger. And let me trade you a glass of soy milk for that glass of beer. And some sweet potato baked fries for them old greasy fries you're eating. And I would have said, I wouldn't have said it like that. Yeah. Now you tell me. Now it's 40 years later. Glass of beer then is still a glass of beer. And soy milk then is still soy milk now. My dear friends, if the soy milk didn't change, you tell me what changed. Say it louder, Pastor Morris. I changed. Pastor Morris pointed at his head. That's Romans 12, verse 2. Be ye not conformed to the dietary habits of this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. Back to verse 1. I beseech ye therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, you present your bodies a living sacrifice, wholly acceptable unto God. This is it's reasonable. It's reasonable. And to be honest with you, friends, my dietary habits were the least problem I had. That was about the lowest problem I had. I'd been in jail. I've given some of my testimony. And the Lord looked in that bar and saw me. And I don't know how He could have even had. That's my little wife. I've been married 44 years. The first 10 years, marriage was hell on the earth. Worst marriage on planet Earth. Continually talking about, and now I'm going to reason with you a couple minutes. Continually talking about divorce. We had no commitment. You know those marriage vows, until death do you part, for richer, for poor, for better, for worse. And I did that, but I didn't believe anything I said. No permanence, no stability, no nothing, always talking about divorce. Now you tell me, if God's not in the home, what do you talk about? No, if God's not there, what is the theme of your conversation? Sports, music, sex, drugs, dear friends, that gets old fast, doesn't it? That wears out fast. So 10 years of that. And my first step toward God, looking back, I can see it, didn't see it at the time. Darlene and I, believe it or not, we had an interest in health, as nutty as we were. Her father died, we moved out into the country, and we said, we got to have organic meat. And we ordered 16 Rhode Island red chickens. I like to show things when I say this. I didn't know I was going to say it. We had 16 Rhode Island chickens, and I got a book. I was a city boy right out of Atlanta. I got a book, How to Raise Chickens. Put the chickens up for 6 months. You do this, put them in a pen, get an axe, get a piece of wood. And I did all that. Then it said, take the first chicken, put it on the block, cut its head off. Read the book. Boom! The book didn't say the other 15 chickens would get very quiet. Then she brought 13 more, and I killed them. And I said, Darlene, that's 14 chickens. I gave her the axe. My wife, Hill biker, she's a tough woman. I gave her the axe. Boom. I said, you got to kill the last two. She said, don't hand it to me. She named them. Elrod, she gave them names. They were her pets. She said, don't give it to me. And then I said, and this is God at work, God on the job. I said, if I can't kill them, I'm not going to eat them. We became vegetarians. Wasn't long after that, I was making booze without bisulfates and no preservatives. I was growing organic pot out in the garden. Was that God giving us a little help? Oh, yes. Trying to get the mind right. Because without the mind, you can't worship Him. That's it. So this cholesterol, body mass index, and blood pressure, and all these things, it's a formula for thinking. And I know, and I'm more of a human than you are. I'm more human than anybody in here. You tell me now, everybody, this is not rhetorical. You give an answer. Does a skinny guy, can he struggle with appetite too? Yes. Well, sure he can. The two things we struggle with, the passions and the appetites. And I do. I will give my latest testimony. Sorry, Sister Morris. This is all credit for your cooking and all blame for what I did. That woman made a lunch. I've never had hardly anything like that. What was that? What was that? The day before that acorn squash and that callaloo. What was the day before that? I don't know. What was that? I got pictures. I took pictures of it. I came to the table. I saw this feast. And there's a lot of, healthy, good food. How much of it did I eat? All of it. I ate it all. I wanted to blame her. Your fault. Too much, too fast, too good. I ate it all. And after I finished, oh Lord, I'm sorry. I ate it all. Now, people are smiling. You do the same thing. Haven't you done the same thing? Oh, that piece, I'm a healthy vegan. That piece of cheesecake sure looks good. First was good, second won't hurt. It won't hurt to have a second piece, right? Well, if two are okay, why not three? Why not finish off half the pie, eat the fourth? Has anybody ever done that? No, nobody raised their hand. Yeah, all right. I'm saying, it doesn't matter how healthy and how reformed you are. It is a 1 Corinthians 15:31, I die daily. It is a battle. And you can't win the battle without a sharp mind. The cure is the plan. And I am so glad to be here. But I purposed in my heart. Remember Daniel 7 and 8, he purposed in his heart. And then the next morning, I said to Morris, Mrs. Morris, this food is so good. I said, but I killed myself yesterday eating that good food. And she had a feast laid out again. It's her fault, right? It's all her fault. Had a big old feast laid out. It was this, those are acorn squash, full of callaloo, and with walnut. That was that walnut's what I overate on, that walnut buns, whatever that was. This is good stuff. I looked at it, big old salad, had something else. I thought, I'm going to cut that in half. And it was really hard. Because once I started eating, I didn't want to eat just half. And I said, dear Sister Morris, can I put this back and have the other half at lunch tomorrow? She said, yes. And today at lunch, I ate the other half. And as I said on the diabetes lecture, my A1C almost to being pre-diabetic. My sister died from it. My mother died from it. Now, last but not least, I'm going to give you a quote I read. I think it's from Thoughts on Mental Blessing. We're not judged by what we do. The judgment is not what you do. It is the motive that prompted the action, why you did it, right? It's the motive. And your actions can be all wrong, but your motive can be right. Now, I end with this. In order to succeed at anything in life, you've got to have the right motive. Because if my wife married me but did not love me, it raises the question, why did she marry me? Right? Let me, from my perspective, my wife is a great cook. She is the Sister Morris counterpart in Tennessee. By the way, there's talk in Tennessee. I've shown her the messages. Is that woman a chef? Did she really make that for you? Wowzer. You're fortunate to be eating in that house. Forgot what I was going to say. Can you help me? Mine went blank. Oh, came back. My wife's a great cook. Did I marry her because she's a great cook? No. She knows how to squeeze the penny. She's good with the budget. Did I marry her because she's so frugal? No. She's pretty good. She's everything. Gardening? She's a pretty good gardener. Keeps the cupboard full. Did I marry her because of her agricultural pursuit? No. And I can name 100 things. Did I marry her for that? Oh, she's the most beautiful woman in the world. Did I marry her for her beauty? No. Why did I marry her? Yes. That's the only motive heaven accepts. And the reason I am here is that I love you, and to see somebody sick when they don't need to be, it makes no sense. But you got to take hold. Now, I talked to somebody recently, and they had some health challenges. I said, you might want to try this, and try this, and try this. And I said, I'm going to write it down and send it to you, because we were talking. So I got home, wrote it down, sent it to them. They sent me a response back. I'm on the plan. I'm on the plan. Okay? Plan. Good. That's all you got to do. That's your part. I'm on the plan. I'm on the plan. I'm on the plan. I'm on the plan. Don't make some Buddhist chant out of it. Oh, I'm on the plan, I'm on the plan, I'm on the plan. No. If you're on the plan, you're on the plan. And what that means is, if you see some sort of red flag in your numbers, because numbers don't lie, you say, Lord, we got to go to war. Remember, God came down and visited Joshua. Are you for us or for our adversary? And he said, I come to you as I come to you as the Lord of the captain of the Lord's host. And if God is for us, Romans 8:31, if God is for us, who can be against us? Now there's a difference. Who's your prime minister? What's his name? Trudeau. I'm sure he's a nice man, right? If Canada goes to war, who's going to be the first to fight? Will it be Trudeau? No, he'll be the last. But in Revelation 12:7, there was a war in heaven, and Michael and he was the first one. Who's our president? Who's our president in America? Who's our president? Biden. Is he going to be the first one to go to war? No way. The ones that make the decisions will be the last. Jesus said, what? I'm going first. When you go to war against appetite, my dear friends, he went before you. And the only reason you desire to is he planted it in your heart. So this is secular health from a Bible lens. And without the Bible lens, it makes no sense. Because you tell me, what's the use of living 20 more years if you go to fertilizer as soon as they put you in the hole? And big deal. Well, I lived 20 more years. I bought a second Mercedes. I got a house that's 14 stories high. And I'll end with this. I'm not going to use the name, the vice president of the Ford Motor Company. You know how much money that man was making? More than I'll ever see. I heard him say, he said, I got a pistol, I got in my car, and I put it in my ear, ready to blow my brains out. And he said, I just couldn't. And he said, I found God that night. Now, when I heard him say that, he was the president of Living Springs, a health institution in New York. It's closed now. Yeah. You say, well, that's a suicidal plan, putting a gun in your ear. My dear friends, putting a cigarette in your mouth is just as deadly. It's just death on the installment plan. Yeah. So I tell you what, you come on Sunday, and this is what I suggest. You come at 10 till 8. And when I finish, you're going to say, that's too simple. No, it's not too early. It's too simple. So, I love you, my sister. You come, and what we're going to do, get the heart rate up. That's all. When you walk, you increase heart rate. And then we're going to do some simple exercises. And then we're going to have a royal feast. That's an opportunity for you to make a covenant with God. God means business. He doesn't want any hypocrites coming onto the prayer altar. Yeah, I mean business, God. If there is something that needs changed in my life, today is the day. I begin today. I got my exercise. I got my stretching. I got my strength training. We're going to do a few of those too. I got a good breakfast. I got that Lou Keith bugging me and preaching at me and it's driving me crazy. I wish he'd shut up. And I'm going to give you a hug, and when I leave, I hope to see you in the kingdom of God. God is good, isn't he? Because I have a hope. Romans 8:24, you're saved by hope. It says hope. You're saved by hope. I have a hope of seeing you again. I know Gaspard. I know his name now. And Stay. I know some of these people's names. My dear friends. Now, last question. I know I got 3 minutes. I know I'm getting long-winded off on a tangent. Last question. Now, you tell me. Let's say I was a billionaire today. A billionaire. I noticed my coat's got like a little hole in it somewhere. I'd buy what? New coat. Pants, pocket in my pants got a little hole in it. I'd buy new pants. My truck back home is getting a little old. I'd buy new truck. My house is kind of small. I'm going to show you pictures of the house I built probably sometime here soon. My wife and I built everything ourselves. I might upgrade my house. I might buy a bigger piece of land. I might, then I'm done. I'm sitting there in my new coat, my new pants, my new house, new truck in the driveway, and I got $100 million on the table. Now what do I do? Now what do I do? Now what do I do? What do I do now? I worked with some of the richest people in the world. I'll end with this one. I worked with the third richest man on the Virgin Islands, and that man had money. He had 4 mansions, an ex-wife in each one. One of those ex-wives called me and asked me to come down there. She said, my husband's killing himself. I went down there. This man was not a Christian, and we started a lifestyle program. I won't tell you how the Lord worked that out. But you know, that guy liked me. I don't know why he liked me. Well, I was giving him massage type stuff, professional thing every day. Maybe that's why. And then we take a walk afterwards. And he stopped me one time on the walk. He said, Lou? Yeah. I can't tell you his name. Yeah. What's on your wish list? I never heard that word before. What's a wish list? What's a wish list? That's what I asked him. I said, what's a wish list? It's a list of what a man wants, but he doesn't have. I said, I don't have a list like that. There's got to be something that you want. I got everything I need. What do you want? I know you have something. He's like, he's itching, his money in his pocket. He's itching to pull out, buy me something. I said, well, there's 2 things. He said, yeah. What are the 2 things? I was married at 18, divorced at 22. I got a daughter from that marriage that won't speak to me. Hasn't spoken to me in years. I said, I want a relationship with my daughter. He said, what's number 2 on your list? I said, brother, I need a new heart. He looked at me. He said, let's walk. Friends, he couldn't give me what I wanted. Now, John the Revelator had a wish list. 1 John 3, verse 2. Beloved, I wish Wait a minute, that's his wish list. What's at the top of his wish list? Health for you. Beloved, I wish above all things that thou may prosper and be in health. Because without prosperity in the body, how can you prosper in your soul? So my dear friends, tomorrow night we start nutrition. We put the magnifying glass on phytochemicals, calorie density, the aspects of nutrition. Extremely important. Don't miss it. I hope to see you tomorrow night. More than that, I hope to see you in heaven.
Thank you so much. It's time for the offering. So If you feel moved to contribute to cover for some of the costs of the seminar, now's the time. Some of you weren't here before, so just to remind you, if you have a question for Lou, you can write it on the card that's in the pew with you and put it in one of the baskets. There'll be 2 passed down, so just make sure one is designated for the cards so we can gather them and give it to them quickly. And if you ladies will come forward, we can pray. All right, bow your heads with me. Dear Father in heaven, we're so thankful for Brother Lou being here. We're thankful for the knowledge that he's sharing with us, that you've given to him. And Lord, may it dwell in our hearts and move us to change so that we may be closer to you, Lord. That's the goal here. Please bless this whole event. And Lord, if any of us move us to give as you see fit, Lord, and whatever is given, I pray that you will multiply it and carry it where it needs to go. Thank you, Father. Amen.
There's a question. I'll be fast. It says, are Christians or non-Christians more resistant to changing their lifestyle for improved health? That's a loaded question right there. The question is, you got the folks that are followers of Christ, and you got the world. Is the world more receptive to the health message than those of us in the church? I don't know. Oh, how do you, good easy one. How do you repair a fatty liver? You find out what causes a fatty liver. Yeah, fat. Thank you. A fatty liver is caused by fat. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with eating a walnut that has fat in it, but excessive fat accumulation, visceral fat around the liver causes fatty liver. So what do? Yeah, stop eating the fat. The same plan that will help cholesterol will help, that's it. You just stop eating fat. If you have fatty liver, don't worry. There's help. Now, cirrhotic liver is different. I was a heavy drinker. I did not have cirrhosis of the liver. By the way, what cirrhosis means, all it means is the tissue in the liver is scarred. And when you have an abundance of scar tissue, it won't function like healthy tissue. And there is a point of no return on cirrhosis. You cannot recover it by lifestyle unless God does a miracle. So scarring the liver. Yeah, the body is fearfully and wonderfully made. So you just stop eating the fat. Get on the plan. The plan we study tonight, get on that plan. It's simple. Come to my house, we'll give you sweet potatoes. Okay. Mom, yeah, you come. I'd love to have you come there. You're my friend with all the good questions. You provoke my thinking, and you provoke my heart. I love this brother. I don't even know your name. Can your body produce too much cholesterol? No, not unless you have some sort of real strange malady or something. I mean, normally, your body makes just what it needs. I have a friend that has a genetic disposition toward high cholesterol. And that guy, he's the healthiest guy I know. His cholesterol is always high. But normally, the body will make all the cholesterol that it needs. And when you consume cholesterol in your diet, called dietary cholesterol, it goes up. With some people, the result is more dramatic than others. An example, 105 years old, chain smoking a cigarette, and they live to be 105. But he's the exception, not the rule. In every bad habit graph, there's a bell curve. But the majority of people, well, he drank until he was 120 and died healthy. My dear friends, that's the rare exception. If I drank, I'd be dead right now. So those are pretty good questions. Let me answer that first question now. Let me be honest. I don't want to answer it, but I will. There's a big difference between knowing it and doing it, right? We know it. Well, we have opportunity to know it. And I speak as a Seventh-day Adventist. Counsels on health, medical ministry, ministry of healing, counsels and diets and foods, 1,000 Bible verses. We have the opportunity to know. Is that a blessing? It's a blessing. People in New York, they had approached, working with Sister Pat Langley, as a friend of Pastor Morris, Sister Pat Langley. And the health leader in the church, he was a pastor, I don't remember his name, he had a heart attack. Took him to the hospital. She asked me would I fill in for him. I said, what's he doing? You have people that are secular people coming from the public, they give them a nice supper, and as they eat, you stand and you talk about health. I said, yes. And I said there were probably 50 people chowing down on good food and talked about health. And did they have an interest? My dear friends, it was like people that are drowning and they're gasping for air. They came. They had an interest and they got some help. So I'd say in one sense, those outside the church are easier to work with. But in another sense, you got to choose so carefully what you say. Here, it's just plain, free, and open. I really enjoy that freedom. If I'm sitting there in New York, you got to be careful every word you say, because I don't want to turn somebody away. Can't use the name Jesus, so half will get up and walk out. But you can talk about, if I can throw, 1 minute, let me just throw this in. We had a Buddhist lady, by the way, I was interviewed by Cal Thrash, it's on our website, the interview, and I share the story. We had a lady call me, she said, I'm Buddhist, my wife was, right? I'm Buddhist, your program is Christian, I see on the website it's Christian, but I'm a Buddhist, no problem. Do I have to come to the worships? Because the schedule's there. I said, no way, you don't come to worships, no. She came, 28 years old. She came, I'm in there doing the lectures, I'm doing the worship that morning. She stood outside the door. I can't see her, but I see her shadow. I know she's there. She's listening. This is the time to roll out the health. I said, the curse doesn't come without a cause. That's Proverbs 20, didn't say it. I said, breast cancer is a curse, and it has a cause. And if you want to prevent breast cancer, this is what every time I said a word, she got closer. And by the time I finished, she's sitting down. She came to the next worship, came to the next one, came to the next one, left, got baptized as a Seventh-day Adventist, no longer Buddhist. Yeah, what got her? Health.
Let us all stand for our closing. Would you be free from the burden of sin? There's power in the blood, power in the blood. Would you were evil a victory win? There's wonderful power in the blood. There is power, power, wonder-working power in the blood of the Lamb. There is power, power, wonder-working power in the precious blood of the Lamb. Would you be free from your passion and pride? There's power in the blood, power in the blood. Come for a cleansing to Calvary's tide. There's wonderful power in the blood. There is power, power, wonder-working power in the blood of the Lamb. There is power, power, wonder-working power in the precious blood of the Lamb. Would you do service for Jesus your King? There's power in the blood, power in the blood. Would you live daily His praises to sing? There's wonderful power in the blood. There is power, power, wonder-working power in the blood of the Lamb. There is power, power, wonder-working power in the precious blood of the Lamb.
Shall we bow our heads for the closing prayer? Our God and Father in heaven, we want to thank you for the fact that you have created food in abundance to be our medicine and to give us good health and to help us, Lord, to grow spiritually. I am praying tonight, Lord, that you will take us to our several homes and help us, Lord, to take heed to what you have allowed us to understand, that the numbers don't lie. We're pleading with you, Lord, to help us to be steadfast in our devotion and commitment to you. And thank you for giving us this life to get it right and to live right and to live godly. In Jesus' name, amen.